Luis Contreras as real thing. Luis Contreras was born on September 18, 1950. He was 43 years old when he appeared in Blood In.
Blood out!
1993 is real thing, an intelligent, loyal, and brave member of the Vatos Locos gang. Although the role was not large, it clearly portrayed a street fighter who always stood by his brothers no matter the danger. The authenticity of his performance makes real thing a memorable part of the film. For Luis, the role almost mirrors his own tumultuous real-life story. Beyond the fiery images on screen, Contreras returns to an equally harsh reality. Both marriages were bitter failures because he could not escape his persistent alcoholism, which suffocated his family life with constant quarrels and breakups. Helpless in the face of the growing distance between him and his two children, Luis sank deeper into despair and loneliness. With nothing left to hold on to, he let the emptiness in his heart grow over the years, turning him into a distant and regretful father. As time passed, the financial burden and job insecurity weighed heavily on Luis, leaving him exhausted. On days without roles, he turned to alcohol to drown his sorrows, only to sink deeper into debt and his social relationships crumbled. The worry about making ends meet, the lack of recognition, and the sense of failure turned Contreras into a withdrawn person, tormented by the haunting thought that he was not strong enough to keep his family together. In 2004, when cancer finally took the already exhausted life of Luis Contreras, he quietly passed away at the age of 53, leaving behind a net worth of only about $250,000, a modest figure for a life of dedication but full of brokenness. That ending closed a long journey with so much unhealed pain, making the audience even more heartbroken when remembering what had passed. A brave figure on film, but in reality a shadow of Luis himself, strong on the outside, but with wounds on the inside that no words can heal. Roberto Contreras as Cruz's grandfather. Roberto Contreras, born December 12, 1928 in St. Louis, Missouri. He was 64 when he appeared in Blood In.
Blood out!
1993 as Cruz's grandfather, a gentle supporting role that portrayed a loving, inspirational grandfather to a younger generation amid the whirlwind of gang violence. The character served as a moral anchor, reminding Cruz of his family roots and seemingly fading moral values. With his understated, experienced performance, Contreras brought emotional depth to the film. In real life, Contreras' career peaked in the 1960s with his role as Pedro in The High Chaparral. But behind the glamour of television was a life of inner turmoil. Married at a young age with 3 children, Contreras quickly became absorbed in a hectic filming schedule, often away from home, only to lose his family in the bitterness of divorce. The pain of the breakup lasted and became an obsession, leaving him with years of guilt and gradually distancing himself from his children, especially as family relations grew colder. Despite his attempts to revive himself with impressive supporting roles such as Topaz, 1969, and Scarface, 1983, Contreras never achieved the fame he had hoped for. This created a subtle pressure, causing him to retreat into a state of seclusion, rarely appearing in public in his later years. The feeling of failure and loneliness became a mental burden, weighing heavily on his old age, which was already filled with illness and isolation. On July 18, 2000, he died of natural causes at the age of 71, ending a quiet but dignified life. His net worth at the time of his death was only about $300,000, reflecting a career that spanned nearly 4 decades but was largely confined to supporting roles. Not enough to make him a major star. However, Contreras' legacy remains in the hearts of his fans, as a testament to his dedication to the arts despite the personal losses that can never be compensated. Jesse Borrego as Cruz. Jesse Borrego, born August 1, 1962, was 31 when he played Cruz Candelaria in Blood In.
Blood out!
1993. A talented artist caught in the abyss of addiction and loss, Cruz, with his creative heart but caught in family tragedy and a lost path, becomes one of the most heartbreaking characters in the film. It was the authenticity and emotional depth that Borrego brought to the role that has etched the character in the minds of audiences for years. But Borrego's life in real life was not smooth. He married his college sweetheart, full of hope for a stable family, but his career ambitions and busy work schedule drove the distance between them ever further. His last marriage ended in divorce, leaving him haunted by feelings of failure and inadequacy as a husband and father. After the divorce, his relationship with his daughter Sophia became estranged, leaving Jesse to lie awake at night wondering if success was really worth the sacrifice of family love. The pressure of acting, combined with his broken personal life, sent Borrego into a spiral of depression. he was forced to take time off from the set to heal and regain his mental balance. While the image of Cruz, a talented but lost man, seemed to creep into his real life, making it difficult for him to escape the darkness. Crises came and went, leaving scars on the soul and on the face of an artist who had endured too much bitterness. Now, at the age of 63, Jesse Borrego has chosen to return to San Antonio to spend time teaching acting and finding peace after the turmoil. His net worth is estimated at $1.5 million, reflecting his persistent efforts to overcome many difficulties. Delroy Lindo, as Bonafide. Delroy Lindo, born November 18, 1952. He was 41 years old when he played Bonafide, a cold and powerful leader of the Black Guerrilla Army in Blood In, Blood Out, in 1993. Bonafide represents the power and influence of the black community in the harsh but idealistic prison world, and was portrayed sharply by Lindo, leaving a deep impression on the audience. Delroy Lindo's life behind the scenes, however, was also fraught with hardship. His first marriage to Diane fell apart while he was still struggling to find his footing in a racist industry, leaving him to raise his son Marcus alone in loneliness and financial hardship. The pressures of parenting, coupled with the pain of divorce, left a lasting scar on Delroy, a shadow that would haunt him for years. The biggest shock of his life came when his only brother was murdered by gun violence, leaving Lindo with endless pain. Since then, he has often pondered the idea of justice and community, questioning the meaning of violence in both movies and real life when his own family became victims. Many nights, Delroy has been faced with tormenting pain, along with unanswered questions about social justice and helplessness in the face of tragedy. Now 72, Delroy Lindo lives in New York City and devotes himself to mentoring troubled youth, hoping to steer them away from the criminal path he portrayed on screen. Lindo's net worth is estimated at $4 million, a fitting reward for a career that has been illustrious but also filled with sacrifice. The truth may be an act, but Delroy Lindo's life is bitterly influenced by the tragedies he has endured. Victor Mojica as Mano. Victor Mojica, born July 31, 1933. He was 60 when he played Mano, a wise and calm man in the ranks of La Onda, in Blood In, Blood Out, 1993. With his distinctly Native American features, he portrayed Mano as a pillar of spirituality in the violent world of the prison, bringing memorable depth to the film. Behind the scenes, Victor Mojica faced many misfortunes. His marriage to Wanda Mojica fell apart, leaving him emotionally scarred as he lost contact with his two children. Being stereotyped for decades as a Native American meant that Mojica could not escape from portraying more diverse roles, leading to a career that revolved around supporting roles without a breakthrough. Financial pressures surrounded him as his income fluctuated, leaving him struggling to pay his debts and falling into mental breakdowns. The loneliness only intensified as he grew older. Mojica lived quietly in Florida, away from the limelight, grieving over a broken relationship with his children and feeling helpless to escape the stereotypes imposed by Hollywood. Although he appeared in Johnny Firecloud and The Final Countdown, those moments were not enough to save his image from being cramped. He died quietly and privately on October 17, 2019, at the age of 86. Mojica's net worth at the time of his death was estimated at $500,000. However, Victor Mojica is remembered as a resilient man who bravely overcame difficulties, despite his personal life being anything but smooth. Lanny Flaherty as Big Al. Lanny Flaherty, born July 27, 1942, was 51 years old when he played Big Al in Blood In,
Blood Out!
1993, a pivotal prison set character who embodied the power and cruelty of the harsh world behind bars. Flaherty's performance of Big Al exudes a tough and realistic look, but still has a bit of humanity hidden inside, creating a unique appeal for the role. In real life, however, Lanny Flaherty struggled with painful upheaval. His long-term marriage fell apart, leaving him with deep emotional scars and a distance that was not easy to heal from his two children. The loneliness and sense of failure sent him spiraling into depression, forcing Flaherty to constantly remind himself to stand up from the brink of despair. The mounting stress, coupled with his longing for his family and his stagnant career, pushed him deeper into the darkness of alcohol. Flaherty later withdrew, living a relatively quiet life in New York and largely avoiding the limelight. Haunted by his past and in increasingly poor health, he had little chance of returning to the heights he had achieved in Natural Born Killers or Men in Black. 3. He died suddenly on February 18, 2024, after surgery at the age of 81. Flaherty's net worth is estimated at around $1 million, a small figure but reflecting a career spanning decades. 4. Theodore Wilson as Wallace. Theodore Roosevelt Wilson, born December 10, 1943 in Harlem, New York, was 49 when he appeared in Blood In, Blood Out, 1993, as Wallace, a minor character who is memorable for his loyalty, humor, and genuine kindness in the brutal world of gangs. Wallace appears alongside the Vatos Locos, balancing the emotional tone of the film with a rare dose of humor and humanity. Wilson was beloved for his role as the cunning Sweet Daddy Williams in 1976's Good Times, but his personal life quickly spiraled into a downward spiral after a seemingly happy marriage to actress Joan Pringle. The pressures of fame and a demanding filming schedule caused the relationship to unravel, leading to a quiet divorce. Wilson's sense of failure as a husband and father pushed him into deep loneliness, gradually distancing himself from his two young children, adding to the emotional pain that never really healed. As time went on, Wilson sank deeper into depression, and alcohol became his way of filling the void, although he continued to act in the 1980s series, with notable supporting roles in 1980's The Hunter and 1991's Life Stinks. He could not escape the shadow of his deteriorating health. Long, lonely nights interspersed with filming trips weakened his heart, requiring surgery before a sudden stroke took his life at the age of 47 on July 21, 1991. Wilson's sudden death left him with a net worth of around $500,000, a modest sum for a career that spanned many years and didn't have any major breakthroughs. Sadly, Wilson passed away before Blood In. Blood Out was released, making this Wallace role a surprise send-off, but it's always been seen as a final film that cements the image of a talented artist who suffered from many emotional wounds that never truly healed. Benjamin Bratt, as Paco Benjamin Bratt, born December 16, 1963. He was 29 when he played Paco Aguilar in Blood In,
Blood Out!
1993, a gang member turned cop with deep moral conflicts. Paco is both a witness and a bridge between the world of crime and justice, creating a haunting and unforgettable character. Bratt imbued this character with a strong and genuine energy, contributing to making the film a classic. However, behind the halo, Benjamin Bratt also had to face many bitter events. Although his marriage to Talisa Soto was once admired, his busy career and demanding filming schedule gradually eroded their happiness. The pressure to provide for their family and the expectations of Hollywood sometimes left their relationship quiet and riddled with unresolved conflicts. A devoted father, Bratt was troubled by the lengths he spent away from his children, Sophia and Mateo, sacrificing precious family time in pursuit of success. The pain was compounded by the loss of his beloved brother who had been by his side throughout his youth. The tragedy left a deep void, a wound that would not heal in Bratt's soul even as he struggled to maintain his public image. The moments of weakness and lonely nights behind the scenes seemed to mirror Paco himself, a man torn between loyalty and duty. Now 61, Benjamin Bratt continues to make films and fight for Native American rights, while also trying to restore balance in his family after years of turmoil. His net worth is estimated at $12 million, a fitting reward for a career that has endured, but also a reminder of the price of reaching the top, the loneliness, loss, and countless sacrifices that not everyone can see. Vanessa Marquez, as Montana's daughter. Vanessa Rosalia Marquez was born on December 21, 1968 in Los Angeles County, California. She was 24 years old when she appeared in Blood In, Blood Out, 1993, as Montana's daughter. A small but memorable supporting role for her innocence and vulnerability in a brutally violent world. The character helped to emphasize the film's humanity, contrasting with the gory scenes of the gangland. Unfortunately, Marquez's personal life was also rife with cracks and turmoil, leaving her with even more pain than her on-screen role. Marquez made a lasting impression on audiences as Nurse Wendy Goldman in the first 3 seasons of ER, from 1994 to 1997. But behind the scenes, she struggled with a series of mental health crises, including bipolar disorder, obsessive-compulsive disorder, anorexia, and agoraphobia, which left her virtually trapped in her own home. Her loneliness was compounded by the fact that she never married, had no children, and was constantly frustrated by discrimination and a sense of isolation from Hollywood. The pressure led to a shopping addiction, which was revealed publicly on intervention, but unsuccessful attempts at treatment only worsened her condition. Amid her illnesses, which ranged from celiac disease to fibromyalgia to recurrent seizures, Marquez tried to keep her acting passion alive with a role in $20, 1993, but it only served to further her downfall. She alleged that she had been harassed in the emergency room and claimed that she had been blacklisted, making her return to the screen even more unlikely. The past glory of Stand and Deliver seemed like a distant luxury as she faced a precarious life, both mentally and physically. The greatest tragedy came on August 30, 2018, when Marquez collapsed during a security check at her home, grabbed a toy gun, and was shot dead at the age of 49, ending a life of trauma and controversy. Her net worth at the time of her death was only about 200,000 Chan, reflecting a promising career that was marred by illness, isolation, and ultimately a tragic end that shocked and saddened the public. Damian Chapa as Miklo Velka, Damian Robert Chapa. Born October 29, 1963. He was 30 years old when he took on the role of Miklo Velka, a central, conflicted character in Blood In, Blood Out, in 1993. Miklo is a man of mixed origins, drawn into the brutal world of gangs and prisons as he searches for recognition and loyalty. By living with real gangs in East Los Angeles to research the role, Chapa brought a rare depth and authenticity to Miklo, making him an unforgettable icon for audiences. But in real life, Damian Chapa had to deal with a series of storms. 3 marriages fell apart, leaving deep emotional scars as financial instability and a stressful lifestyle extinguished any chance of reconciliation. The sense of failure haunted him, gradually distancing him from his 2 children, Damian Jr. and Rico, who were also traumatized by an absent and uncertain father figure. In the years following Miklo's rise to fame, Chapa seemed to spiral into a cycle of conflict, disintegration, and disorientation. Those family rifts were exacerbated by his continued legal troubles, from rape allegations and arrests in Madrid to bankruptcy and a long-running defamation lawsuit. Every time it seemed like he was about to rise again, Chapa had to face harsh public opinion, making him a victim of his own dark past. The pressure of being stereotyped as Miklo also made it difficult for him to avoid comparisons and criticisms like a sentence hanging over his entire career. Currently, at the age of 62, Damian Chapa is still based in Los Angeles, continuing to act and produce independent film projects with a quieter life. His estimated net worth is around $1 million, reflecting in part his relentless drive to keep his passion alive, even at the cost of loneliness and turmoil. Miklo's glory remains, but behind it all is a man with scars that will not heal. Enrique Castillo as Montana. Enrique Castillo, born December 10, 1949. He was 44 when he played Montana in Blood In, Blood Out, 1993, a powerful and intelligent leader of La Onda behind bars. Montana is the gang's leader, disciplinarian and protector of honor, presenting a fearsome and respectable image in the criminal world. The role became a lasting memory thanks to Castillo's dignified and multidimensional performance. However, in real life, Enrique Castillo had to experience pains more severe than any script. His first marriage, which seemed like a peaceful place, quickly fell apart when financial pressure and time apart washed away all patience and faith. His acting career, despite his passion and dedication, still made him struggle because he was constantly framed in supporting roles, not having much room to perform, narrowing his potential and leaving him with a lingering sadness about a talent that was never properly appreciated. The greatest tragedy struck when Castillo lost his son Daniel, only 25 years old, in a tragic car accident. The sudden loss tore Enrique's heart apart, leaving an unfillable void and years of torment in his memories. Although he tried to continue writing, directing and passing on his passion to the younger generation, he still carried the pain of a lost child, a deep scar that would not heal easily. Now 75. Enrique Castillo lives a relatively quiet life in Los Angeles, occasionally teaching acting and working in the theater industry for solace. His net worth is estimated at $800,000, a modest sum considering his tumultuous journey. Yet Montana lives on in the hearts of audiences as a testament to strength and resilience, and as a mirror of Enrique's own life as a father and artist who endured so much loss. Lupe Ontiveros Trongvai Carmen. Lupe Ontiveros, born September 17, 1942. She was 50 years old when she played Carmen, Cruz's strong and loving mother in Blood In, Blood Out in 1993. The role gave her a powerful image, representing the silent sacrifice of Latino mothers, supporting their children in a world full of violence and temptation. Behind the scenes, Ontiveros's life was filled with unspeakable pain. She was devoted to her husband, Elias, and had 3 children. But their marriage suffered due to the pressures of making a living and the low salary she earned as an extra. The mounting financial hardships put a constant strain on their relationship, making Ontiveros's sacrifices even more burdensome as she continued to serve as the spiritual pillar of the family. At the same time, being pigeonholed for decades as a maid, despite her exceptional talent, became a wound that never fully healed. The frustration of not being given the opportunities she deserved haunted Ontiveros, driving her into days of stress and exhaustion, especially as she juggled family responsibilities and fighting for fair representation for Latina actors. She persevered, leaving her mark in Selena and Real Women Have Curves. But that glory could never fully make up for the injustices she endured. The most tragic turn came when Ontiveros was diagnosed with liver cancer, a devastating disease that drained her of her strength and hope. Despite her valiant fight, on July 26, 2012, she breathed her last breath at the age of 69 in Whittier, closing a tumultuous life journey. Ontiveros' net worth at the time was estimated at $2 million, the result of hundreds of tireless roles, but it was still not enough to reflect her worth.